1, 2, 3.
Hello, welcome to Rock the Cash Bar. I'm Ben Mowbray.
And I'm Diane Gallagher.
Every week we pick one song and do a deep dive into the lyrics and explain the different ways they've been interpreted.
We will also discuss how the song connected to us on a personal level, focusing on all the embarrassing details.
Glad to have you here. Enjoy the show. Hello, welcome to the Cash Bar. How are you, Diane?
I'm doing good. I have a beer. It's
You have a beer and it's noon. Congratulations.
I know.
Mhm.
It's so hard for me to do a podcast without a drink, and I was like, I don't want water. I want beer.
You got to loosen the screws at the back of the tongue. That's all right.
Mm-hmm.
You need a beer to talk to me. That's like that great Penn Jillette joke. Like, why does everybody need to have a drink to talk to each other? So I'd like to talk to you, but I want to be a little dumber when I do.
That's great. I want to be a little looser.
Mhm. I try to drop that line on people over the bar, and it never comes across well because they always think it's like I'm saying that I'm so smart, I need to be dumber to talk to you. I'm like, no, I'm just talking about the act of drinking at all.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
All right. Maria Bamford has a new book coming out.
Ooh.
So I'm not doing anything for the next 2 days. That's it. I'm taking the next 2 days off. I'm closing the bar. Forget about it.
I don't think I knew you were a big fan.
I'm a huge, big fan of Maria Bamford. I think she might be my favorite comic who's currently out there working right now.
It's so funny. She had to grow on me over the years. I remember when I first heard her, I wasn't into it because I swear to God, the first set I saw her do, I saw her break character, I thought. But then I've seen her ever since, and I'm like, no, that's her. She didn't. I don't know what I think I saw. She didn't break character. I thought she was doing a character, and I was like, oh, I don't like that. But then, obviously over the years, I'm like, oh no, she's cuckoo in the best way, and now I get it.
Because like the elevator pitch on her just doesn't work for everybody. It's just like, oh, she does funny voices. You're like, I don't know that I'm really interested in another comic who does just funny voices. Like, it's so much more than that.
Yeah.
So much more. I don't think that there's a comic out there who's as good at mining their own flaws, their own peccadillos, their own mental state, better than she is. Like, she's just incredible. It's unbelievable.
So good. Yeah.
So I can't wait to do that. But anyway, we're here to talk about a different insanely talented and also insane woman. We're here today to talk about Cat Power, which I picked this song and I picked this performer because I didn't know anything about her, and I always wanted to. I literally knew nothing about Cat Power, and I still don't. So for me to pretend that I'm a huge big fan is going to be a lie. I'm not going to do that. I'm very new to Cat Power. I've read a couple of articles about her. I've listened to a bunch of the albums, but I don't have front to back knowledge of Cat Power.
Yeah.
All I know is that listening to her over the last week has been an awful lot of fun, and I really wish that I'd given her a chance. Like, she was around, my whole life. There's absolutely no reason why I couldn't have been buying Cat Power albums in 1995, but I didn't because I was a 15-year-old boy, and listening to girls is not a thing that we would do then.
Even with the smoky, bluesy voice of Cat Power. Yeah, I'm with you. The first introduction I had to Cat Power was her cover of House of the Rising Sun, which just knocked me off my ass. And then I started listening to a little bit more, but I'm like you, I never dove into her. I didn't have all of her albums. I didn't know anything about her. I assumed her name was Cat and that maybe she was a lesbian, and this was a Cat Power came from some kind of pussy power, and then I was wrong about everything. I had her so wrong.
I had her in my head because she comes from sort of the same period. I thought she was sort of like Courtney Love-ish, very sort of like Riot Girl, here comes the punk rock chick, Joan Jett for the
PJ
90s.
Harvey.
That's exactly what I thought. Yeah, and couldn't have been more wrong. She is kind of sad girly. You can see that she definitely paved the way for Lana Del Rey, who she's collaborated with, and a couple of other people. She's definitely not the poppy phenomenon that Lady Gaga is, or the ferocious voice of femininity that Beyonce is. She's her own thing. She is a sensitive soul who's been roughed up
and didn't realize how how bad she suffered from stage fright and then her substance abuse and how she's coped with it. And you're like, oh, your lyrics come from a real place of suffering, not a
Yeah.
pretend poetic. Everything's actually good in my life, but I'm gonna write poetry as if it isn't. Like that's not her.
Yeah, like you don't mean to like shit on anybody's feelings, but like when you listen to Taylor Swift, you're just like, okay, you're very good at writing songs about stuff that we've all experienced.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
you don't need to write a song. I mean, that's the knock on her. Like, you have to write a song about every single breakup you go through, every single emotion that you have. And somebody like Cat Power, I'm not saying that one's more valuable, but I am saying that I do like one more. I do enjoy Cat Power more.
One feels more authentic.
Yeah. Where one just feels closer to the like, Taylor Swift is very specifically feminine, and so is Cat Power. But like, I can listen to Cat Power songs and my own yearnings and longings and faults that kind of come out in a way that I don't really experience when I listen to Taylor Swift.
Yeah, because it's not sugary poppy music, it's bluesy and simple. Like a lot of times it's just her singing and they'll add like the drums in later. It's very raw. You can feel like the real rawness with Cat Power.
And I can just sort of, I can relate to her story in a weird way, because she reminds me very much of the kind of women and girls, because I'm talking about when I was a young man, you know, the kind of women and girls that I had a crush on when I was 15, 16, you know?
Yeah, the little brooding type, maybe
Yep.
things aren't great at home.
I think every guy has a crush on the girl at the rock show, and you can definitely see that Cat Power was like the maximum girl at the rock show.
Oh yeah.
She tells me she never had formal guitar lessons or music lessons. Like, she jokes about it. She goes, "Oh, there was always a guy around who wanted to show me a couple of things."
When her parents were musicians and they didn't show.
Yeah, her stepfather apparently like showed her sort of like how to play piano, the rudiments of it. But she never had like actual lessons. Like, it was very much like she would go. I mean, Cat Power. Let's just cards on the table. Cat Power is legendarily gorgeous. Like, she is up there with oh my god, Blondie. Why I can't remember Debbie Harry's name.
Debbie Harry, yeah.
Like, there are parts of her story that reminded me quite a little bit about Debbie Harry, where it reminds me, a man, it's dangerous to look that good. It puts you in a lot of situations that I would never experience. But
yeah, I think every girl has that dream of like what happened with Debbie Harry and her, like where someone just sees her and it's like, you need to be a model and we're going to make you one. Like, Karl Lagerfeld and Marc Jacobs and all these like high name designers saw her, like a picture of her smoking a cigarette or something. They're like, oh, you're going to be the face of my new thing just because you're that good looking.
And it's weird because like I'm a bit shy and passive and non-threatening, but I definitely recognize, especially in my younger days, that some of the crushes that I had that I thought were just like innocent fascinations, like, no, if I'd acted on those, that would have been creepy. You know, like it happened to me a couple of times where you just like, just see a woman or a girl and just like I am obsessed with her. Like, I think she's the most beautiful thing in the world. I love like everything. You realize like, okay, now that I'm older, like, you go, okay, you got to take a step back. All right. That's just going on. That's just going on in your head and your pants. There's no need to make that her problem. But you can sort of see that Cat Power kind of, you know, went from relationship like that, but several times, you know, through cycles with men in her life who I think had that sort of like creepy, like, you're going to change my whole life, Cat Power.
Oh God. That's a lot of pressure. I would drink too.
Have another beer, you need it.
So
I didn't choose the song. My friend Casey, who is also a girl at the rock show, chose Crossbones Style, and it's from 1998. It's from her Moonpix album, which was her sort of her big breakthrough. She kind of it's worthwhile to sort of tell like a little bit of the Cat Power story before we go into the song. But she grew up in the South. Her family, kind of her mother and father, broke up when she was very young. They both remarried, and she kind of shuttled around between families and her grandmother and many different schools as they traveled basically all over the South. So she went to something like 10 schools in 12 years. They finally settled down in Atlanta, where she started going to shows. Her stepfather was a lounge musician, so she sort of knew her way around music. So she started going to shows and meeting friends. She sort of fell into a band. She didn't really want to join one, but because she had this great voice and this great look, she was kind of roped into a band. They kind of fell backwards into performing a show that they weren't really ready for. They hadn't even named themselves yet. So she was just kind of looking around, and she saw a trucker hat for Caterpillar diesel powered trucks or something like that. So she went, okay, we're called Cat Power.
That's where I was like, wow, Diane, you couldn't have been further off. This had nothing to do with women's liberation, being a lesbian, a trucker hat.
Nope.
I was like, okay, Diane, just throw every conceived notion I had about her. I just had to like toss that and read my, like, okay, who actually is she? Yeah.
Yes. So she goes, the band has a little bit of acclaim in Atlanta, but it breaks up as young bands do. And she and one of her bandmates moved to New York, and they started in the very early 90s, and they started kind of tumbling around in the nascent sort of New York alternative rock scene. Bands like Liz Phair was around there at the time. And it was just like, it's an exciting time to be in New York. When is it not an exciting time to be in New York?
I know. I'm going this weekend, by the way.
You're going back?
Yeah, well, it's Sarah's baby shower, so.
Ooh, congratulations to Sarah.
I know.
Yep. This part of Cat Power story reminded me quite a bit of you, because you fucked off to New York for a while in your 20s, didn't you?
When you say a while, it was like barely over a month. Yeah. It was the biggest mistake. It was so dumb. But Sarah and Lucas and Paul had already moved up there, and Sarah and Lucas were doing it. And it was a time during comedy where everybody was kind of leaving the Houston scene. And I was like panicking because I had done the first level of UCB improv. I wanted to do the second level, and I was like, they were leaving without me. And I was like, I have to do it too, but I'm in this relationship with Corbin and we have this dog. And yeah, I quit my job. I sell my car. We devised this plan because his whole family lives there. Like he'll come up there 1 month and I'll come home 1 month. And the minute I got up there a week into it, I was like, I've made a huge mistake and I don't want this. To crawl back, get a new job, get a new car.
That's all right. It happens to everyone. It happened to me.
I had to be there with feet on the ground to know I didn't want it as bad as I thought I did. I thought I wanted to do stand-up comedy and improv and go through the ranks in New York and try to be a writer in SNL. I thought that I wanted that more than anything. And the minute I was there, like doing it, I was like, no, I don't. Yeah. I don't. Yeah. And I would have never, in a way, I don't regret it, because I think if I hadn't gone, I would have always like been bothered by it. Mm-hmm. So going and being like, I don't want to be here. Like, really, I knew for sure I didn't want to do it once I was there. It was a weird thing. Like I moved to LA around the same time. And I knew I think I had a pretty reasonable idea of what I was capable of as a stand-up. Like I knew I wasn't great. Like I wasn't going there to crush it, but I was going there to learn. But I realized that I was outclassed in a way that I didn't expect. Like it was my desire for it that was lacking. Like every comic that I met there was just like, we're going up every single night, any place you can. They're writing all the damn time. They're working their asses off in a way that at a level that I could not get to. That's what intimidated me. Like I knew going in, I was just like, because they say things that can calm you down. Like you go to the improv, you go to those big New York comedy clubs, and it's like, you don't have to be as good as the very best comic. You just have to be better than the worst comic. Yeah. Like all you need to do is get on the ladder. So that's what I was telling myself. Like, I just want to get on that first rung. But once I got on that first rung, I realized that everybody else who was on that rung was scrambling way, way harder than I was capable of. Yeah. Yeah. I think that was my realization of like, everybody in New York was suffering and living in squalor the same way I was, but they wanted that dream so bad they put up with it. And I was like, yeah, I'd already made the mistake of finishing college and having a good job with benefits, and I miss my dog. I was like, I don't love this dream as much as they do. Which makes the rise of Cat Power so kind of unusual, because she's really, really reluctant. Like she really does not seem to have that real sort of like Madonna level drive or the Taylor Swift level drive, where it's just like, I want to be the center of attention. I want to fill stadiums. I want people to hear my voice and watch me dance and listen to my songs. Like she seems like this really part of it's opening up her notebook of poems, like she's only going to do it with somebody that she feels really, really comfortable with. Like I think she could have been a much, much bigger star if she had a different mentality, not just the boozy problems, but if she just had that I want to be a star mentality, instead of having it thrust on her because she's Debbie Harry beautiful. So like literally her whole life, men and people around her have been reacting to her because she's this stunning, stunning beauty. And then I don't want to say the name of the podcast. I don't even remember it, but I was listening to a podcast that was just it was just a guy talking about
about Cat Power for 25 minutes.
Oh.
And he obviously did not like her at all.
Oh
Like,
no, why?
He was really upset with her for the reasons that men are upset with good looking women who are talented. Like, you just want to just go, dude, pretty girls can do things. Like, it can't happen. But like, he was dismissing her because he's just like, her whole life she's been beautiful. When she worked at this pizza place in Atlanta, people would go see her because she was the hottie hot behind the counter at the pizza place. He figured that she got put into this band just because she had a good look, and then the voice kind of came after that. She opens, like, her big break is opening for Liz Phair, which happened quite by accident. There was a girlfriend of hers who basically like volunteered her to open for Liz Phair long before she was actually ready to do it. And it was at that gig that she met one of the members of Sonic Youth and a guy from a band called $2 Guitar. And they basically sort of like fell in love with her talent and just her stage nature. And basically, with her, they wrote her first 2 albums in one day. They wrote her first 2 albums in one day because it just kind of came out of her and came out of them. Like, I'm sure they were taking parts of like songs that had failed or not put together, but either way, they wrote 22 songs in a day and split them up into 2 different albums. So you're talking about an incredibly talented person. But yeah, she did in a way sort of fall backwards into what her career became, which is not something that you ever really see.
Yeah, like no.
It's that Clinton quote where it's just like, if you see a tortoise on top of a fence post, it didn't get there by accident.
Yeah.
Somebody put it there. Everybody who gets to the top of the charts, or everybody who's a successful musician, they got there because they had that determined talent and that determined drive. Cat Power seems very reluctant to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she suffered from stage fright. I don't think she grew up like with stars in her eyes of like, I want to be a superstar. She just doesn't. And you can hear it in her. Like, she doesn't have that. And it's crazy to me that people are like, oh, it's just her looks. I heard her without having a clue what she looks like and falling in love with her. Because I was like, how could you not love her voice? It's so
I know, just
soothing.
the right side of it. Like, I want Cat Power to read me bedtime stories.
Yes, I'm telling you, and it's going to be my deep cut. Spoiler is her version of House of the Rising Sun. And I was like, that song we've done that song on the podcast. That song is so good. His voice is so good. It's a powerful song. Hers, I'm like, it's competitive on like my favorite version. It's so good.
She's an emotive soul, that's for sure. She's also crazy. Music, like a complete alcoholic, like bottles and bottles a day, like that kind of thing. Like blackout, stories of performances that where she'd be incredibly shy. She'll be talking to like a friend's baby in the crowd and just basically like delaying, like she's so nervous she doesn't want to sing another song. Her audience is very sympathetic to that. So there'll be like a weird mixture of like the people who really, really love her and want her to see her get over these difficulties. And then the people are just like, hey, we came to see a show, like play something. Like, I read a bunch of articles where the writer was talking about that weird dichotomy in the room between the people who loved her and the people who were kind of slowly learning to hate her.
Yeah, because apparently she would be real erratic and like stop songs early or not finish a song or change up the order of the song. Because I think she was panicking and having stage fright and drunk. She was just kind of a mess.
Yeah, I think she's probably like literally in the middle of a panic attack, or like undiagnosed PTSD is what she ended up calling it as she got healthier later in her life.
Yeah,
but she wrote this song, Crossbones Style. We'll read the lyrics and then we'll talk about where this song comes from, because this song is like proper haunted. Like, it really, like the guitar is so seductive, but also kind of horror movie creepy. Like, I really do think that if you just change the tone of the guitar and drop the bass and everything like that out, it would sound like a slasher movie. Like, it would really kind of have that creepy, like, don't go in there sort of thing. But it really does have this feel of like a coven of witches going into the forest to sing some songs to each other.
It's funny. I was like, the first time I heard it and read it through, I'm like, what are we talking about here? And then when I hear her inspiration for it, it got even spookier and even scarier. Yeah.
It is kind of crazy. So this is Crossbones Style. And the lyrics are nebulous, difficult to grasp. They don't hit anything, right on the it doesn't tell a story. There's no narrative. This is not a love song. It's not, it just is. how time flies with crystal clear eyes, and cold is cold when you're ending with diamond eyes. Yep.
It's that kind of poetry where you're like, all right, hold on, I'm gonna have to read this a couple times. Where are we going with this? What's happening? There's a lot of imagery here. Yeah.
Like, yeah, time flies with crystal clear eyes. Obviously, clear eyes, warm heart, can't lose, right? We're sort of conditioned to learn that crystal clear eyes is a good thing to be looking through, right?
Well,
and
I see it as time fly, like she's seeing the past very clearly, like time flies with crystal clear eyes.
And cold is cold when you're ending with diamond eyes. So the eyes start off clear and they end up diamond eyes. Diamonds are, of course, the hardest substance known to man.
And sparkly.
And sparkly. Like, you can look at it two ways. Like she's got crystal clear eyes and then gets cold, and now she's looking through like brittle, hard diamond eyes. But diamonds are also beautiful and sparkly.
Yeah.
Like, you can go through your stresses, you can go through your struggles and come out of it with diamond eyes and be harder.
There's so much that, I mean, this is one of those where it's a choose your own adventure with these lyrics. Yeah. Some of these, it's like however you want to see it, wherever this, like the vibe of this music and her voice and these lyrics, wherever it wants to take you, I think maybe is okay.
Yeah. Oh, come child in a Crossbones style. Oh, come child, come and rescue me. She wants to be rescued by a child in a Crossbones style, which always makes me think of like the Jolly Roger, the Skull and Bones pirate flag.
You know, what's funny is because she's saying child Crossbones style, I'm just like, I think of crisscross applesauce sitting in style. Like, come child, sit down, Crossbones style, let's talk. Yep. But I was like, I don't have a clue if that's what she meant by that.
Nope.
You have seen some unbelievable things.
Because you have seen some unbelievable things. Now, what I read, and it's a subtle thing, but it doesn't really have anything to do with the lyrics. But that's a line that gets repeated a couple of times in this song, because you have seen some unbelievable things. But she delivers it slightly differently every single time she sings it. Like, yeah, it's almost like, you ever watch a movie and you can just tell that the actors are just enjoying the shit out of playing that character?
Yeah,
like that's how I felt with it. Like she's savoring that line for whatever reason. Like, it's absolutely important to her, probably because she's seen some unbelievable things. Like, it's also like finding that just a slightly different delivery, like the 3 or 4 times that she actually says it, it's just charming to me. I don't know why it's so fascinating.
Did you listen to Jessica Chastain on Smartless? They talk a lot about theater because, Sean Hayes does theater, Hayes. And they were talking about when you do these shows over and over and over on Broadway, like, do you ever like play with the line kind of like in the same way, instead of you're saying the exact words, but you're delivering it maybe with a different wink, a different way each time to see how your partner reacts to it that time, but it still has to stay in the same. The storyline has to stay the same. But yeah, I feel like she's kind of doing that. She's playing with her one line.
God, I could see actors having like huge arguments with each other backstage. Like, I could totally see like a certain kind of actor being like, we do it consistently the same way every night.
Or the director or the writer being like, don't do that, but like, if you're good enough and it's still the feel is going to stay the same, you can just change your inflection a little. You can do little things.
I think the dipshit theater kid in me would be like the complete other way. It's like, no, we got to find more in this material. Like, we can do it different ways. We have to do it different. We have to discover it differently every single night. I could totally see myself having huge arguments with what's the best way to present it.
Bored, and you want to like it because I feel like you could get on autopilot, and which is dangerous in performance and stand-up and theater. Like, you don't want to be on autopilot. So if you change an inflection or something, it brings that person really back into the scene hardcore. They have to react to it naturally. Yeah.
If you're going to be real and vital every night, then you have to be willing to bring something new to the stage every single night.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which I could totally see like Al Pacino being like, look, kid, that's not the way we fucking do this.
I don't have time for your bullshit.
Tommy Lee Jones doesn't have time for your bullshit. Yeah. Is there any way you can do everything faster? Hater, I have your diamonds and still. Like, ooh, okay. So diamonds are eyes. We've established that. So hater, I have. She could be talking to her father.
I mean, Jesus, I
Mhm.
don't know. This song to me, I was like, I can't grasp at anything until I heard her talk about the story about the kids in Africa, and then I had something to latch onto with this song.
Yep. There's a couple like hater, I have your diamonds and still like that could very easily be like I've seen through your eyes, or
Yeah.
I see that I have your attention.
I
I don't
see
know.
you. Like, I
Yes.
see you. Yeah.
In that spooky same way. Those are mostly the lyrics. Oh, come child in a Crossbones style. Oh, come child, come and rescue me, because you have seen some unbelievable things. Oh, how time flies with crystal eyes, and cold as cold when you're ending with diamond eyes, because you have seen some unbelievable things. That's basically the poetry that's going on there. There are two stories for how she wrote this one. What was what you were talking about, the African diamond line?
She yeah, so I saw two different things too. Like, one was a dream, and then the other one was it says in a 2018 interview with The Guardian, she explained that the song was inspired by two children she met while in Africa who slept in trees at night after their parents were killed. A lot of kids slept in trees in the park. So rereading these lyrics as kind of speaking through these two kids that witnessed the murder of their parents and then had to sleep alone up high in trees in fear after that, like, say you have seen some unbelievable things, that hits completely different if you think of it that way.
Exactly. And then the because come sit next to me, or come child, Crossbones style, and rescue me. It's
Yeah.
like she's sort of like opening up her heart. Like, all right, she's going to like console this kid, but like through that grief and that trauma bond, she's going to be healed herself.
You're right. Yeah, she's like maybe gonna swap stories. Like, I've seen some things too, maybe not near as bad as they've seen, but yeah, like, and I'm here, we're here for each other. But do you want to explain the nightmare scenario?
Yeah, the nightmare one, like this is where she actually did write this song in the middle of a nightmare. So she was like clearly having a psychic episode. So she has a little bit of success in the mid 90s and it scares her. So she kind of like she sort of runs off. She moves to Portland, Oregon for a while, and then she eventually moves to South Carolina, where she's living in this farmhouse, and it's just her and her boyfriend, and they're all alone in this farmhouse. It's just her and her booze, just all by herself. So she kind of has a bit of a psychic break where she says that her nightmare was like swirling all around her house. You know, I've had those certain, like not to that degree, but you know, you have that like sleep paralysis where you're half awake and half asleep, and there's some kind of threat in your bedroom that you have to deal with, but you can't wake up to, and it's just the most like intense, scary thing that's ever happened. Like I've actually like if I'm sleeping next to somebody, I've actually like literally like shook them awake, like wake me up. I'm in the middle of a night terror. That's happened to me quite often. Something like that on a much higher level was sort of happening to her. You know, she says there's a nightmare surrounding my home like a tornado, and I had to get my guitar out and sing to God. Is what she said, in order to make the nightmare go away.
That's fear. That's straight up fear.
Absolute fear. She was just like, I know what it is. It's a serpent that's wrapping around the house. So that's what makes it feel so like haunted and witchy to me, is like this is her appeal to just like let the nightmare go. Like how do I just get rid of the terror for just a minute?
Yeah, that's crazy that, like, you know, because you know, I think we've all experienced this, maybe not on this level, but you know, I've had a little mental breakdown, and I'm not a musician, so I didn't have an outlet to let it go in guitar. And the cool part of that song is that story is she says she got a tape recorder and recorded the next 60 minutes, and I played these long changes into 6 different songs, and that's where I got the record. Or I was like, oh, so you took your nervous breakdown into 6 solid songs.
Nicely done. It's a good bit of work.
Yeah,
and it's hard not to get like very sort of like recovery when you hear that story, because I think it's pretty easy to assume that the reason why she's so afraid and the reason why she feels so trapped is because she's literally trapped inside her own head and her own addiction. Like she's at this point, she's drinking so much that she can't trust herself. Like she literally can't be alone with herself. That's the most terrifying place that she can be, is alone. So that's got to be where that fear comes from, right?
Yeah.
Like this definitely sounds to me like a proper drunk song.
Yeah, it's amazing to me that when people can turn this into art instead of just really bad Facebook rants or bothering your friends or nothing, just someone you don't want to be around. Like when you can like turn those fucking lemons into lemonade for all of us to enjoy, even though
Exactly.
she's in a lot of pain.
She classifies this as a dance song, which kind of surprised me when I read that quote. She's like, it's the dance number on the album. I'm like, you know what? It kind of is. Like you
It
start
kind of
listening to
is.
that groove, you're like, yeah, I could definitely see that being a dance floor version of it. But she said that the song was inspired by Madonna. Like it was her attempt to sort of like write a Madonna style pop song in the end. And you can sort of see that in the video, because the video apparently, like I've seen the video and I didn't put two and two together until I read the article that pointed it out. But it's filmed in the vein of like the Lucky Star video. Like it's definitely meant to ape that. And they got like the video begins with like a lineup of 4 or 5 women that look like they're about to dance, you know, like do like the proper like pop star, you know, really getting into it, athletically dancing, but not so much. Like it's very much like a witchy, almost religious kind of dance stepping that they end up
They
doing.
do like the lowest common denominator of dancing, where they'll do a step change step, which is what Madonna does in the Lucky Star video, but she's way more sexualized and a professional dancer, where these girls are making it very obvious, like, we are not dancers. We are not doing big I mean, they're doing it all together. It is choreographed, but it is not dance moves. It's very like kind of like even Cat Power's doing this weird move. It's, you can tell it's purposely like, hey, look, we're doing dance moves, but we're not dancers. But now we're going to add other stuff like dropping to our knees and bowing and
yeah, it feels kind of like a middle school play.
Yeah,
like
it does.
Like these are 9-year-olds learning to be pop stars.
Yes, like this is their first day at class. They're kind of got the moves down.
I want to have Cat Power's smoky voice so very, very badly.
Oh I talk about it all the time. I get so depressed that I can't just grab this microphone and just woo the world with my
and
voice.
sing to God. Like what a great way to put it. Like I just had to sing to God.
Yeah.
She did a really interesting tour that I read about, where she said that she played live accompaniment to a 1929 silent film about Joan of Arc, which would have been absolutely fascinating to go see. Like that kind of art rock would be like, sign me up. Isn't it pretentious and silly? Do you know who I am and how much I love pretentious and silly?
I was like, this is your alley. This is your wheelhouse. Was it that same show or whatever where she said the word no in different ways for 15 minutes or something?
That was like in the early career. Like you can definitely see this like nascent art rock, and she's probably doing that because you haven't written any songs yet.
She wasn't prepared.
I can't play music at all. Like I've never been in a band, but I've had friends that we would kind of just like noodle around with together. And there's like, you just get fascinated at making noises with your friends. Like I could totally see it just being like, I just wanted to get on stage and show you this sound I made. Is it a song? No, it's a sound I made.
I don't even know if maybe that's another reason why the universe didn't bless me with a singing voice, because I would be like, I feel weird. I would get super like uncomfortable, be like, this is something I do alone, not in front of or with people.
Yeah, being that naked emotionally to sing in public is not something that I think I'm really capable of.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't even go to therapy till I was 40, so yeah.
I have yet to go to therapy, and I'm beginning to know that I should.
No, everybody should. I just had therapy before this. I mean, I jumped like 5-minute break from therapy to right into the same seat. I do want to read this about her process of writing, which I just thought was interesting. I'll just read her quote. Said, asked by Uncut Magazine if she has a songwriting routine, she said, no, it's like vomit, not a nauseous feeling. It's like a telephone call from deep inside, knock on your inside door. When someone comes to you like that, I tend to just sit with it and play it over and over until I remember. And if I remember the next day, then I play it again. I start putting it in live places and I yarn it, thread it, hone it a little bit. I'm like, that's incredible. That's impressive.
It's like writing songs live on stage. Like there's plenty of comics that do most of their writing on stage.
Yeah.
You know, like I can't imagine being a songwriter doing that.
I know. Yeah, no, that's terrifying to me, because it feels like we get most songs like baked to entire, you know, we don't see the process. I understand it more with comedy. Like you watch like Bill Burr and you can just see, you're like, oh, you're just doing most of his act. You're like, you wrote most of that on stage and just remembered what you said.
Yeah, yeah, you riffed it through like constant night after night performances. Like you found, okay, there's another
Mhm.
joke here, there's another tag here. Like you can find little bits and pieces like live on stage. Like there's
Yeah.
no doubt that Bill Burr sits down and goes, okay, well, I'm writing about my wife today, or
Yeah.
I'm writing about the WNBA today. There's no doubt that happens, but I'm sure that most of the gold, yeah, comes live on stage.
Yeah. Just rants from his whatever pissed him off that day.
Yeah, do you start to realize like what people are reacting to? Like
Yeah.
when you're on stage as a comedian, you go, okay, that's a hot button. I gotta figure out a way to stay on that for as long as I possibly can.
Yeah. Do you want to
Mine that
talk
for everything it's worth.
do you want to talk about her like personal like guys she dated and what led to breakups to real mental breakdowns, having to be she had to go to a my brain went asylum. We don't go to asylums anymore. Like she had to check herself into
Mhm.
a rehab, kind of a mental
Yes.
rehab place.
Mhm. I read a little bit about that. I know something about some of the breakups and everything like that, but the real mystery, like apparently she hasn't revealed who the father of her child is,
I know, that's juicy.
which
Unless
is
it's like we wouldn't know him anyway, but yeah, that's juicy.
it is. I hope it's Eddie Vedder.
Do they play together?
She played on his ukulele album. Come over
Nice.
here, Cat Power. I want to play you my ukulele. I'm hoping that through the ukulele sessions, Cat Power and Eddie Vedder have a love child. That they
Oh, I love the
like that's what
rumor mill.
yeah, I don't mean to, the rumor mill never goes on strike.
Well,
But
yeah,
yeah.
apparently she dated actor Giovanni Ribisi for a long
Mhm.
time. Isn't he a Scientologist?
I believe that's true. As long as we're starting rumors, yes, yes, he is a Scientologist.
I think he is. And
Mhm,
I just wonder, not that that has to have anything to do with their relationship, but like if she isn't and he is. But
mhm,
yeah, she had a breakdown after
mhm.
that breakup and had to check
It
herself.
certainly sounds a little strange because she like basically shut her life and her career down to help him raise his daughter. So I
Mhm.
could totally see her being like giving and wanting to start a family, and because she's got a lot of songs, like I want to be a good woman is like a real through line in her work. So you can kind of see like she like trying to help this man raise his daughter is her way of sort of exploring that side of her, and then finding that either he wasn't willing or able to give her the things that she needs, and then she had to flee.
Well, he left her for a model, for another.
I mm, well, Giovanni
Yeah.
Ribisi's career kind of dried up after that. I wonder if there's like, because there has to, like, in order to get jobs in Hollywood, like you have to be friends with people, you have to play the social game. I could totally see gatekeepers being just like, you left Cat Power for a model, you're not working for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Fuck
We're
you.
not putting you in this production, you monster.
Yeah.
Mm,
Well, so I just want to talk about her little nervous breakdown. Like it turned into she found out she had a real health problem. Like
mhm,
so I mean, I can't regurgitate it. I'll just read it. Um, after she ended her relationship with Ribisi, the completion of her upcoming record had coincided with their breakup, and she said, I cut my hair off 3 days after the breakup, got on a plane to France, and finished the shit. Shortly after the release, she began having trouble breathing and was hospitalized multiple times. But doctors were unable to diagnose her. And she's like, I thought I was dying. They told me
mhm,
they were going to put me in a coma to save my lungs. Her friend came to visit and she just kept telling her, I don't want to die. And then she was diagnosed with hereditary angioedema, an immune disorder
mhm,
that causes sporadic swelling of the face and throat due to a C1, I don't know, and something inhibitor deficiency. Anyway, like she's going through this like mental breakdown, but also finds out she's got some kind of immune disorder as well on top of it. Uh,
mhm,
which is so fucking scary. And then also she's an alcoholic and she has
mhm.
a mental disorder as well. Like it's kind of a mess and you feel fucking bad for her.
All of those things are certainly compounded. Like I have no doubt that stress can set off an immune disorder without a doubt.
Yes.
I'm
But
certain.
the way you were talking about, she thought the song was a dance number. So she says, people have said that her music is somber, blues infusion, queen of sadcore. But she says that she's like, my music is in misinterpreted. And she's like, my songs are not sad, but like a lot of them are triumphant. She recounted blues, old soul music, British rock and roll, as well as hymns and gospel as being her influence. But it's really funny when we see something as like sadcore and she's like, but that's my happy song.
Yeah, it makes me really happy. Like I feel that way too. Like we've talked about it before. I'm a huge big Nick Cave fan. Listening to Nick Cave makes me happy. Like it's not depressing. Like there's something about like his love songs are just like they're just so masculine in a way that you don't hear very often. Just like, yeah, I want to love like that.
Yeah.
That's
We
the
talked
way
about
I want to learn how to do it.
Yeah, we talked about this with The Cure. Like people, just they hone in on like a couple of their really sad, depressing songs, but like most of the songs we love by The Cure are just upbeat, like Let's Go to Bed. How happy is that song? Like Six Different Ways just makes you feel good. I'm like, no, he's not a depressing band. It's not a depressing band.
You can't listen to Love Cats and not smile.
I mean, come on. Yes.
And I don't think you can listen to Crossbones Style without feeling like all of those emotions. Like there's definitely some happiness to it. Like I want to put that song on repeat. Like I love it. I love its groove.
It became an earworm really quick. Like it was the first time I listened to it all the way through. And then usually if I hear a song once, it doesn't stick. But throughout the rest of the day, I heard myself repeating the "You Have Seen Unbelievable Things" over and over. And I was like, oh, that's stuck immediately. Like, this song is nice and sticky. It'll get you.
It's sticky. I love it.
Yeah.
That is Cat Power. As far as I know, I've exhausted my new knowledge of Cat Power.
Me too. But what I am going to do is go listen to a lot more Cat Power now.
Yeah, without a doubt. Yeah, she is definitely going to become one of my favorite artists. And I dearly wish that she had been, for like the long nights of the soul that I had as a young man. Like listening to Cat Power on the long drive home would have been great for me. I'll probably transpose a few memories, like singing along to that. Instead of The Cure or Elvis Costello, I should have sprinkled in some Cat. Probably would have made me a better dude.
Maybe. Or you would have been exactly the same and just honing in on her moody stuff.
Probably could have been just waiting backstage. Hey, Cat Power's coming to town. I'll be at Warehouse Live looking for you, Cat. Need some help unloading that, Cat?
Well, I have not heard from Jeremy this week, but that doesn't mean he is not going to send us a 6 degrees. So if he sends it, I will put it right here. And if not, he can take a week off. Okay. Do you have a deep cut?
I do, but I did the same thing that you did. My deep cut is also a Cat Power cover, and it's I Had a Dream, Joe. It's her cover of a Nick Cave song.
I had a dream, Joe. I had a dream. I had a dream, Joe. I had a dream, and now
Oh, nice. Did you say I have a dream? I had a dream something?
I had a dream, Joe.
Joe, okay.
I had a dream, Joe. Yeah.
Did you hear that before you knew any of her other songs or
no.
Okay.
No, I didn't know that she did so many covers. And that was another thing that I read that podcast that was so mean to her was pointing out, or was trying to point out. He was saying that the reason why she does so many cover albums is because she was drunk all the time and couldn't write her own good songs. Like, well, that's clearly not true. Like what her real gift is reinterpretation, it's mimicry, it's that golden voice. It's taking somebody else's ideas, running it through her emotional machine and reflecting it back. Like that's a real talent. That's a proper thing. This idea that she couldn't get it together to write. She wrote 2 albums in a single day.
Yeah.
She wrote her next album overnight in a nightmare. Like this is somebody who writes sporadically and difficult. Like it does not come easy for her. The idea of like, okay, I have to sit down and do this mathematically or patiently. That's not in her head. She's crazy. She's a crazy artist, and she got lucky and got to live that way.
Yeah, she doesn't have any formulaic pop songs. The songs that she did write were extremely raw and from her own emotions. I think that should be celebrated, not shitting on her covers when Elvis Presley, who we call the king of rock and roll, never wrote one song, not one.
Exactly.
That's all he did was covers.
Precisely. It's no takeaway. I think it's a real talent. Some of my favorite songs are covers.
Yeah. yeah, we talk about covers a lot and how it's funny with each generation when a favorite band does a cover and you didn't know the original. Like my friend Michelle said, she's embarrassed at how she did not know Landslide didn't come from the Smashing Pumpkins.
Oh my God. Yeah, that one is embarrassing.
When she found out, she was like, oh shit, I hope I didn't say in front of anybody that was a great Smashing Pumpkin song.
A friend of mine turned me on to Tom Waits when I was a teenager, and one of the songs that he played for me was "Downtown Train." Will I see you tonight on a downtown train?
Oh shit!
Rod Stewart did a cover of that, and my parents were great big Rod Stewart fans. So when I heard that, I was just like, it was kind of like an embarrassing moment where I had to like keep it to myself. It was like I always thought that was a Rod Stewart song.
So Tom Waits did that first?
Yeah, it's a Tom Waits original.
I didn't know that. See, I didn't know that till now. I would have thought Tom Waits covered Rod Stewart.
Nope. Absolutely not.
Interesting. God, two very, very, very different sounding versions of that song. Whoa.
Yeah, the Rod Stewart version is very like, I don't, it's like once you hear the Tom Waits version, the Rod Stewart version will always sound like very like canned and in the studio and kind of corny. Like you hear the Waits version, it's like, oh no, this guy was really upset.
Yeah. Well, speaking of songs in a different way, my deep cut, like I said, is her version of House of the Rising Sun, which I'll play.
There is a house in New Orleans they call the Rising Sun.
Which is spooky as shit. And I think the original is spooky as shit, and she made it spookier than shittier. Like not shitty, but like hers is like, I feel like I'm sinking in a deep depression when I hear hers do it, but it's also really beautiful.
It's also amazing to think of her like hearing House of the Rising Sun and going, I really like that. Can we turn it darker? Can we make it a little dark? It's already a song about a woman losing her life in a whorehouse.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can get darker. It can get weirder.
Yeah. Let's bring it down a notch. All right. Well, next week, I forgot to update with Virginia to find out which 1940s Ella Fitzgerald or whatever in that vein song we're doing. So it'll be a surprise to the listener when we come back next week. But I'm very excited to take that route.
I'm looking forward to it too. I think Ella Fitzgerald following Cat Power is going to be perfect.
Yeah, I do too. That's going to be great.
About golden voices back to back. I'm looking forward to it.
All right. Well, good, short, sweet episode. I liked it.
You want to vogue this one up?
Let's go.
And vogue.
1, 2, 3.
Rock the Cash Bar is produced by Diane Gallagher, music by Chuck Savage and Eddie Hawkins. Special thank you to Jeremy Essig for 6 Degrees and to Sarah Wessling for the Guilty Pleasures vocals. Our website is rockthecashbarpodcast.com, and there you can find links to our Spotify playlist and to our Patreon. Thank you for tuning in, and we will see you next week.